Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. I hope you all are well and welcome you all to His Holy Chandramauli Maharaja's daily class. Hare Krishna Maharaj, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories Srila Prabhupada. I hope you are well, Maharaj.
Satyabhama, Huribo.
I'm finally back in your service, Maharaj.
Satyabhama, Huribo.
So, as I have been instructed by Srimati Mataji, today's verse is third canto, chapter number 1, and verse number 35 and 36. If you're ready, Maharaj, can I start sharing the screen?
Satyabhama, Huribo.
Oops, sorry, I forgot to come out of the YouTube. Just give me a second. I will come out of the YouTube.
You didn't forget. Sadhu Sangha.
Sadhu Sangha, yes.
Yeah, that was this year.
So beautiful, Kirtan.
Yeah. Okay, 35. Let's see, is this the verse? Yeah, this is the verse. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Apisvaranya niratya daivam anantya vritya samanurataye Vedika satyam ajacharu deshna gadadaya swasti charanti samya. Translation: O sober one. Others, such as Ridika, Charadeshna, Gada, and the son of Satyabhama, who accept Lord Sri Krishna as the soul of the self and thus follow his path without deviation, are they well? Api swandriyam vijayajyutatabhyam dharmena dharmam pratipati setum duryodhana tapyata yadsabayam samrajya lakshmiya vijaya nuvritya. Translation: Also, let me inquire whether Maharaj Yudhisthira is now maintaining the kingdom according to religious principles and with respect for the path of religion. Formerly, Duryodhana was burning with envy because Yudhisthira was being protected by the arms of Krishna and Arjuna as if they were his own arms. Purport: Maharaj Yudhisthira was the emblem of religion. When he was ruling his kingdom with the help of Lord Krishna and Arjuna, the opulence of his kingdom surpassed all imaginations of the opulences of the kingdom of heaven. His actual arms were Lord Krishna and Arjuna, and thus he surpassed everyone's opulence. Duryodhana, being envious of this opulence, planned so many schemes to put Yudhisthira into difficulty, and at last the battle of Kurukshetra was brought about. After the battle of Kurukshetra, Maharaj Yudhisthira was again able to rule his legitimate kingdom, and he was reinstated the principles of honor and respect for religion. That is the beauty of a kingdom ruled by the pious king, like Maharaj Yudhisthira. Om Gyan Timidandasya Ganajana Salakaya Chaksun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauramani Bhajarine Nirvisesa Sunyavari Paschatya Desatarine Panchakalpa Tarubhischa Kripa Sindhupa Eva Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namaho Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Patan Sidvaita Gadadhar Sivasari Gaura Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Rajarshi king who leads by religious principles, where do we find them today? They are not existing. This was the way people were governed in Vedic times. Kings who are qualified to lead, they had the interest of the people at heart. And he did it as a service to the Supreme Lord and to the progeny that they took care of. There were great kings, many of them, such as, Maharaj Yudhisthira, Maharaj Prithu, Maharaj Parikshit, all powerful warriors, but at the same time ruling according to Dharma. If you rule according to Dharma, Dharma protects you. And that is a principle of existence. Dharma rakshati, rakshati dharma. That if you protect Dharma, Dharma will protect you. He was the ideal king, so much so that he lamented even after the battle was over, that so many people have died because of his being put into the position. But this was Krishna's arrangement. Krishna wanted to establish saintly rule upon the world, and Duryodhana had stepped in to usurp the kingdom pretentiously without any proper, what we say, right. And he was a powerful king also, but not in the same quality as he was irreligious. In other words, he was avaricious, he was greedy, he was envious of those who were in a better position than he was. And even Krishna himself spoke to Duryodhana, trying to convince him that the Pandavas are not so eager to take over the world, but still they are Kshatriyas. You have taken the kingdom by force, and you have done so many things to try to harm the Pandavas. Still, they're following religious principles. They're not vengeful towards you. Give them 5 villages to rule. They have to rule. They are Kshatriyas. This is the Dharma of a Kshatriya. Duryodhana was so avaricious, so greedy, so envious. He said, I will not even give them enough land to put a head of a pin on. When Krishna heard that, he became angry towards Duryodhana. When Duryodhana saw that, he decided to arrest Krishna. Krishna came as Dut. Dut means messenger, as a messenger of peace. But Duryodhana wasn't at all amiable to any suggestions. He wanted to destroy the Pandavas and be the unrightful ruler of the kingdom. And then when he tried to arrest Krishna, Krishna expanded himself into the universal form. All of the guards who came to arrest Krishna were knocked back by this bright light that was so bright that no one could see anything. Krishna showed his universal form. Even Duryodhana saw it, but Duryodhana still didn't change his mind. What a rascal. Can you imagine standing face to face with the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the cause of all causes, the Supreme Person within all of existence? He's making a plea, and you are refusing him. This is Duryodhana was so envious. He couldn't think of anything but his own selfish interests. And then there was no question of any other solution to the problem except war. Krishna tried to avert the war because no one wants war, but still, Duryodhana was not willing to give what was rightfully the Pandavas' heir. They were meant to rule the kingdom, the whole kingdom. But now the situation had changed and Duryodhana had taken everything. So Krishna was just trying to get some concession for the Pandavas so they could rule. No concession. Therefore, when Duryodhana, and then Krishna pleaded, hey, Dhritarashtra, your son, he's acting all wrong. He's not the rightful heir. You know that. Pandu was the rightful heir, but Pandu is no longer living. Therefore, Pandava's sons are the actual heir, and Yudhisthira is the most senior of all the sons. He is the rightful king. The Dhritarashtra knew that, but he was so attached to his his malicious son that he couldn't hear anything. He acted like he had no control over his son. He could have said something, but he didn't. And therefore, there was no other recourse but war. And then, of course, the Battle of Kurukshetra was this is the greatest battle in the history of wars anywhere on the earth. 640 million soldiers were killed in that war. 640 million soldiers. And that was a battle that lasted 18 days. Prabhupada talks about it. He says nowadays they make war and they carry it out for years and years. But the biggest battle in the history of the world was only 18 days. And so many soldiers died. And no civilians died. No women and children were killed. None of these things happened. The battle was fought away from the populated areas. It was done on a battlefield, not like today. People are terrorists, they're envious, they throw bombs in marketplaces and innocent people get slaughtered for no reason. And they call that, war. They call that righteousness. So today everything is ruled by and permeated by irreligion, uh, selfishness, enviousness, enmity. This is the age of Kali. You can't find any good rulers nowadays. People have hope in the rulers still. They elect them and the rulers just turn and eat the people up. That's mentioned in the Mahabharata in an analogy. How one man, he built a garden just to make a nice garden. And he spent a very long time building this beautiful, beautiful garden with trees and shrubberies and various colored flowers with fragrances and so many vines. It was just a beautiful, beautiful garden. After he finished, he was so proud. Then he wanted to protect the garden, so he created a wall around the garden to protect the garden. And after the wall was finished, soon after, the wall itself started to encroach upon the garden and destroy the garden. He was aghast. I built this wall to protect the garden, and the garden is now being destroyed by the wall. What is this? This was after the Battle of Kurukshetra. He came to Yudhisthira and asked, what is the answer? The answer was, ultimately, this is Kali Yuga. And the principle was, it's an analogy that people will elect the representatives, the heads of the state, so they could get protection, they can get the needs fulfilled. But the leaders that they elect are all dacoits and cheaters and selfish interested persons, and they just sap the citizens. They spend like hundreds of millions of dollars building big buildings for their own luxury. And people don't even have enough food to eat from day to day. This wouldn't happen in times where there was a Rajarshi. If people were hungry, they would get food. They would also be inclined to get some service so they could change their life, and the government would provide everything that they needed. They'd still have to pay taxes, but that was part of being governed. But the taxes all went to the people to build roads, to plant trees, to supply the needs of the people, education, medical care, everything was there. The government provided everything they needed. But in this analogy, we see this is the age of Kali Yuga. You know, people can't trust their leaders because the leaders are not trustworthy. And therefore, you have so many problems, social unrest, political strifes, wars, cheating, lying, you know, nepotism, so many types of diseases of the mind simply because of people's lusty desires to be in control without any qualification. As Srila Prabhupada would say in his lecture, to have a leader means to have a second-class man. First-class man is the Brahmins. They guide the leader by religious principles. The leaders take advice, direction from the Brahmins, and the Brahmins give both political advice and spiritual principles to govern. And the second class men, the Kshatriyas, they are the leaders. Kshatriya means one who protects from harm. Kshatriya, Shat means harm, Triya means to protect. They're not aggressors, they're protectors. And they have the interest of the people at heart. They see the people as their own progeny, as their own children. That's how they rule. The heads of the state consider the population their children, just like a father would consider the members of the family dependent on him for their whatever they need. So in the same way, they would take care. And there was a very amicable relationship between the citizens and the leaders. The citizens could talk to the leaders. They wouldn't have to put in their request to see a leader, and then 5 years later they're rejected because there's nobody wants to see the people because they're afraid that the people might ask for something that they don't want to give. This is today's rule. So we're in Kali Yuga. Kali Yuga means Kalo Dosha Nidhi Rajanasti Eko Mahagu. Kalo Dosha Nidhi. That's is an ocean of faults, and it starts from the top, starts from leadership. Leadership in the family, leadership in the society, leadership in the world. It's all corrupt. Maybe there's a few good ones out there, but they can't do anything. When Prabhupada was asked, should we try to get into political office? And Prabhupada said, even if you get in, you can't do anything. And there are people who control everything from the outside. Even the leaders are being controlled by vicious persons who are very avaricious, big, powerful entrepreneurs who use their power to get more power, to get more control. This is a disease. A disease is the more you have, the more you want. You're never satisfied by what you have. You may be a millionaire, but you want to be a 10 millionaire. If you have 10 million, you want 20 million. If you have 20 million, you want 100 million. If you have power, you want more power. It's just a disease. But they don't know what to do with the power. They just want to present themselves in that way as being very, very powerful. And it's a big ego trip. And everyone else who works under their care is always deprived of the necessities of life. Now, this is going on today, but Kalir Dosha Nidhi, an ocean of faults. But there's one benediction in this age to push back this darkness of Kali Yuga, that one bright light. What is it? Asti echo. What is that echo? What is that? Asti, echo, is Mahagun. What is that gun? It's a Mahagun, great benediction. What is that benediction? Kirtana eva Krishnasya. Harinam Sankirtan worldwide will blow apart all of this darkness of ignorance and reestablish civilization again according to Vedic culture, which are the standard by which people lived happily and were able to worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead. That's Lord Chaitanya has come in this dark age. And he's Kali Yuga Pavana, Kali Boyanasana, Sri Satchinandana, Nam Ray. He's come to push back the age of Kali, which is so dark, so dense. People live in fear, not knowing what will happen. People have no hope a lot of times for what will happen in the future. They're under the rule of such demoniac people that they don't know what's going to happen next. Soon another war will start, social unrest will start, trying to tax people, tax. Prabhupada talks about that. He says in Kali Yuga, the leaders will tax people so badly that people will leave their hearth and home and go into the forest just to get free from all of the taxes and uh, the cruelty given by the rulers. And this is Kali Yuga. Anyway, there's only one hope, and that is Harinam Sankirtan and in religious principles, Dharma. So now here we go back to Yudhisthira. He's religion personified. He's called Dharmaraj. That's another name for Yudhisthira, Dharmaraj, the king of Dharma. He was leading by religious principles. He was so righteous that even when it came to telling a lie, he would not do it. Of course, Krishna had asked him to tell a lie in order to kill Dronacharya, and he changed the statement around to make it sound like Dronacharya was killed, but he wasn't killed. And when no, Asvatam, I'm sorry, the son of Dronacharya was killed. And Dronacharya, when he would hear that his son was killed, he would lose his enthusiasm to fight. And that's what happened. That's what happened. And Dronacharya was defeated because no one could defeat Dronacharya. He was more powerful than Arjun. He was actually the martial guru of Arjun. He taught Arjun how to fight. But they needed him, Krishna needed him to get out of the way in order for the Pandavas to win the war. So he told Yudhisthira, tell Dronacharya that Asvatthama is killed. But Yudhisthira was so righteous that he would never tell a lie. So there was an elephant who had the same name. So he said, Asvatthama, the elephant, is killed. He didn't exactly tell a lie, but at the same time, he didn't tell a truism either. And because of that, it says that because he refused to listen to Krishna, his chariot, which he used to fly above the ground, it never would touch the ground when he would ride on his chariot. It touched the ground because he didn't follow Krishna's instructions. Krishna is the standard of all morality, and Krishna wanted to see the Pandavas win. The Pandavas were righteous, and they didn't take any offense for everything that was directed towards them. But Krishna couldn't tolerate his devotees being exploited. So Krishna used his position to make sure the Pandavas won the war. It wasn't for Krishna, they would have never won the war because Dronacharya and Bhishma Dev, Karna, and Duryodhana, powerful warriors. Plus, the Pandavas were outnumbered at least 2-1 by military forces. But still, because of Krishna. So wherever there's Krishna, as the Bhagavad Gita ends, wherever there is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna, there is extraordinary power, morality, opulence, and victory. The last verse in the Bhagavad Gita, spoken by Sanjay, who was narrating the whole battle by his transcendental vision. So yes, this is this battle has a lot of messages that teach righteousness, that teach what is actually uh, righteous rule within the world. And Maharaj Yudhisthira was the personification of that righteous rule. And of course, after him, his grandson, Parikshit, took the helm, and he ruled just like his father, his grandfather, Maharaj Parikshit. And he received special mercy for from Sukadev Goswami by becoming purified simply by hearing Srimad Bhagavatam just before he left the world. So this is we have a grand heritage in these personalities who come in line of Sri Krishna. And they are our spiritual grandfathers, our spiritual uncles, our spiritual cousins. So we want people like to study history. This is real history. This is the history of great men. Not like today's history. You open up a history book and you find out one of the leaders, he just, he ran away with somebody's girlfriend. And then now he's somewhere hiding out and he stole a lot of money. So that's not history. That's just the story of, the delinquents. Real history is to glorify great souls. And that is what Itihasa is a part of the Vedas. It's called the histories. The histories of the righteous persons, the histories of the saintly persons. And Yudhisthira Maharaj, Parikshit Maharaj, Prithu Maharaj, even what's his name? Yayati Maharaj, although he was a little licentious, still he was a great king. What's what is that other Maharaj who was so righteous? He gave everything, almost his whole life, just to satisfy his citizens. Uh, can't remember his name.
Amrish Maharaj, Guru Maharaj, Amrish Maharaj.
No, the one who gave up his flesh. Um, when Brahma and Shiva came in the form of animals to ask for flesh, they tested him. Rantidev, Rantidev Maharaj, yeah. That's mentioned in the ninth canto also, the story of Rantidev. So many great kings in the past. They sacrificed everything for the welfare of the citizens. Yeah. Okay, so here's a little bit about the history of great personalities. So we can make a comparison and pray for Rajram within the world again. Now we have Ravana Ram. We have Ravana Raj. That's what's in the world today. And so we want Raj Ram, not Ravana Raj. Okay, so and that'll come about by the mercy of Lord Chaitanya and the Sankirtan movement as it spreads slowly, not fast enough, but around the world through the chanting of the Harinam Sankirtan. Okay, so any questions, comments?
Thank you, Maharaj. Thank you so much. Devotees, if you have any questions, comments, realizations, please unmute yourself and ask. You can also type in the chat and I can read it for you. It'll be nice to have your cameras on if you can. Please, thank you. Hare Krishna.
Nice to see Satyabhama. She's one of the great souls. She's not doing hosting, she's out distributing books in the cold weather in London, going door to door, begging people to take the mercy of transcendental knowledge.
Only by your blessings, Maharaj. You were there with me all the way, everywhere, in my heart, every morning, evening, afternoon. Only you were there.
Yeah, I was
So,
cold. Yeah, I was cold too. But, but because I was in your heart, it wasn't so bad. Now I'm in Ekachakra, And it's, of course, it's transcendental atmosphere here, and we're doing kirtan and we're doing japa retreats and taking in the mercy of the Dham. But when you wake up in the morning, it's about 0 degrees here. It's really cold. But devotees are transcendentally happy amidst all of the cold weather.
Yes, it's very cold. Prajita Mataji, please go ahead.
Hare
Parijata,
Krishna,
Yes.
Hare Krishna Guru Maharaj, please accept my humble obeisances. All goes to Srila Prabhupada and Your Holiness.
Who's talking? Parijata.
Parijata.
Okay, we got you. Okay.
Okay, so Guru Maharaj, I have a question about Yudhishthira Maharaj's patience. So it can be a strange question because I wanted to ask if Yudhishthira Maharaj's patience allow did it allow Duryodhana's envy to grow so much that it eventually turned into open violence? And can ignoring hatred towards what is right actually make the situation worse?
Well, the thing is, there's been an analysis seeing the different players in this big scenario, and the Pandavas always followed Dharma. Didn't matter what was happened, they never broke Dharma. And that's why Krishna was there for them. They were so righteous that even at their own suffering, persecution, and being cheated out of their kingdom, they tolerated it. And they were sent to the forest for what? How many years was that? 14, 13 years in the forest. They went and they lived like that. And they had to have 1 year incognito. And if they were discovered in that 1 year of cognito, then they would have to be another 13 years in the forest. So I mean, Duryodhana really, I mean, he was vicious. He wanted to destroy the Pandavas. But Pandavas lived by religious principles. They were righteous. And yeah, you might say his patience, which was an expression of his tolerance, was his good quality. But Krishna was there, and Krishna didn't tolerate it. And Kuntiya pradijanihi name bhakta pranashati. When Krishna sees his devotees being, unfairly treated, he's there to protect his devotees, to uplift his devotees. Even today, he's like that. He's always like that. Krishna always.
So
The
yes,
devotees don't use the same tactic as the non-devotees to get what they want. The Pandavas didn't do that.
so
Even their mother, what was it, Draupadi? Her sons were killed, and still she didn't have any. She didn't want to cause any harm to Kripi, which was the mother of Asvatthama, to have Asvatthama killed. She wanted to forgive him because he was a Brahmana, and his mother would suffer if he was killed, like she was suffered. She didn't want anyone to suffer like she suffered, even though it was their own sons that were unfairly killed by Asvatthama. They all lived by righteousness. Of course, Krishna didn't go along with that. And Bhima was, of course, Bhima
so
was a little bit different. Bhima was ready to fight at any moment. At any moment. But Arjuna and Krishna, they can Narayana, Narayana, yeah. So, yeah, you might say that his patience was his quality of his good quality, but at the same time, it it did allow Duryodhana to take more and more advantage. But Krishna,
that was the point,
Dharma
Maharaj.
Rakshati
Oh,
Raksha, yeah. If you follow Dharma, Dharma will protect you. Even today, it says
So,
people make devotees their enemy, but the devotees don't have any enemies. Even the enemy of devotee is not the devotee's enemy. That's the ideal principle of Vaishnav culture. Someone makes you their enemy, still you don't make them your enemy. That's Vaishnav culture. They're forgiving, they're tolerant.
Guru Maharaj, I have another question. That why do people feel more envy when someone succeeds by doing the right thing rather than doing the wrong thing?
Why do people feel envious of
More envy.
someone?
They get more jealous when someone succeeds by doing the right thing or following righteousness. Just like Duryodhan, his envy was so strong against Yudhishthira Maharaj, even when he himself possessed all the power and wealth. What was the core reason for so much hate?
Mm. The owner, well, he was considered the personification of irreligion. Him and his brother Dushashana, they were the two leading brothers of the 100 sons of Dhritarashtra. They were that was their characteristic. You have to remember that this battle was right on the brink of the advent of Kali Yuga. So now Kali Yuga is showing its face through these various leaders at the end of the Dwapara Yuga. So these were persons who were just, you know, you can't call them demons, but they were possessed by certain demonic qualities.
So
Well,
maybe goodness exposes the inner conflict, and maybe that creates some kind of discomfort, guilt, or shame in the person.
yeah, that's a good analysis. Yeah, if you live by irreligion, or if you use trickery and stealing, lying, cheating, various types of programs to destroy others, but others are not somewhat destroyed by that, and they come out, what we say, ahead because they live by religious principles, they're protected by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, then that person becomes more envious. It's like, if you step on a snake, he becomes more vicious. He's vicious already, but you step on him, he becomes even more vicious. You feed milk to a snake. Milk is a nice food, but you give milk to the snake, that milk now becomes poison. So anything done towards these envious people, they become more like they are, more envious, more vicious, like that. That's happening in the world today. There are powerful demons who are controlling the world through various types of political movements. They hide behind various types of programs and governments. You don't even know who they are. They're so powerful. Some of them come out, and then they come out as philanthropists, many of these.
Mm.
Yeah, but their desire, because the more you become away from Dharma, the more you become, what we say, degraded. And then that great degradedness turns into sinful activities, and sinful activities, when one's interests are, what we say, threatened, then they become violent. They'll destroy you.
So, Guru Maharaj, what I've understood here is maybe Yudhishthira Maharaj's patience acted like a mirror,
Yeah,
and Duryodhana saw his own lack of dharma
yeah.
in that mirror.
I don't know how much he saw about himself. It doesn't really reflect his character in that way. But he was, I mean, just for instance, when Mayadanava had created the palace, he created this water that looked like land and land that looked like water. So when Duryodhana was walking, he thought he was stepping on land, but it was water, and he fell into the water. And he was really angry and embarrassed with the whole position because everyone who saw it started to laugh. And he became even more vicious, more angry, more responsive to that thing. So there were situations. I mean, the Pandavas fought against what was that group of powerful devas? The forgot what they called. They're Gandharvas. The Gandharvas are also Kshatriyas, but they're heavenly. So the Gandharvas had a war with Duryodhana and his men, and Duryodhana was captured by the Gandharvas. But the Pandavas came to his rescue and freed him from that and defeated the Gandharvas. But still, he still didn't become grateful to the Pandavas for that. That happened before the Battle of Kurukshetra, way before.
Yes,
So
Maharaj, thank you so much.
I think if you step on a snake, you're gonna see what happens.
Thank you, Maharaj.
Yes,
Thanks a lot.
yeah, that would, you made a good point. The reflection of righteousness in the face of adharma makes adharma even more adharmic.
Yes, Guru Maharaj. Another way to see it is, if an envy that is left unchecked, it will not get, if the envy is left unaddressed, I wrote it somewhere. I think it was written in my book. Let me just see what I. Yeah, so this, someone said this to me. I was attending some lecture, and then they ended up saying this in Hindi, and I wrote it in English. So this lady said that envy left unaddressed does not dissolve, it ferments. So work on it.
Yeah. If you see any envy in yourself, no matter how slight it is, work on it. I mean, envy is the reason why the soul falls to the material world. Sometimes you want to know why you come to the material world. It's this desire to be in the position of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is the controller and enjoyer, supreme controller, supreme enjoyer. We feel unhappy when we see Krishna getting all of the worship and all of the, glory. So the soul wants to be in that same position. And so it can't do that in the spiritual world, so it falls to the material world, and then we become envious of God, and now we become envious of each other, and then we fight amongst each other. So this envy is, as Prabhupada said, is the worst of all qualities because envy contains all of the other bad qualities. Just like it says in in what is it? In lust, greed, what does that mean? Yeah, in lust, anger exists. In lust and anger, greed exists. Lust, anger, greed, illusion exists. Lust, anger, greed, and then pride exists. And when you have envy, you have everything. You have all of the other bad qualities along with it. Yeah, so don't let it ferment, but actually dissolve it by the process of humble service to the Vaishnavas and by being satisfied in whatever position you find yourself in, knowing that whatever position you are is simply the arrangement of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. You might try to improve your position, or you might try to improve your situation in relationship to others, but you never try to tear down anyone else or become angry because of anyone else's success. Because everything is orchestrated on the highest level by the Supreme Personality of Godhead.
Yes, Guru Maharaj. Thank you. Thanks a lot. This was helpful.
Thank you. That was good questions.
Thank
Interesting.
you.
We
Thank
got many
you.
questions. My time is limited, so let's get to the questions because
Yeah,
I only
Balwant,
I have about 20 more minutes left.
okay. Balwant Nitai Prabhu, please go ahead.
Hare Krishna, Guru Maharaj, please accept my most humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada, all glories to you, and Vaishnavas everywhere. Jai Shri Nityananda. A fascinating discussion of good kings today. um, and in that discussion, it just sort of shows how deranged and fallen the leadership of this world is. And just the total lack of religious principles or dharmic considerations of our leadership in this world. And so it makes me think, there's been some discussion about going back to the land, trying to avoid propagating kirtan. Even with the strength of the Hare Krishna movement, Kali Yuga is still going to be Kali Yuga, and the leaders will always be horrible. And even with a growing Hare Krishna movement, the world will retain its nihilistic character, and it will do so and only get worse until Lord Kalki returns. And so I don't feel discouraged, but even with a movement such as ours, the world's leadership will retain its nihilistic cast. Is that so?
No, because you have to realize time and truth go hand in hand. That's also a statement from Shastra. Then in due course of time, irreligion will be destroyed, and that's Lord Chaitanya has come to bring about a revolution in religion, spirituality throughout the whole world. Starting in 1486, which was the year of his birth, and going up for 5,000 years, there will be a progression towards. But in the meantime, while that is happening, Adharma is also getting stronger. What is happening? The middle of the road is becoming less, and people who are either, well, we say neither demoniac or religious are becoming forced to take one side or the other, or being moved one way or the other. So this is explained in the Shastras. There are the Puranas give the prediction of Lord Chaitanya's advent and his mission and how it will grow for 10,000 years, 5,000 years up. And then when it reaches a pinnacle, every town and village, then gradually it'll start to diminish and the age of Kali will start again, move back in. And then after 5,000 years, it'll all be gone. And then people will start to really become harassed by life itself. And then, of course, you mentioned Kalki. He'll come at the end of Kali Yuga. And Prabhupada said, there's no question of preaching, just cutting the heads of the demons. That's all. So right now we're moving forward. But it's not going to be easy to spread Krishna consciousness around the world because of the force of demoniac influence. But it's happening. It is happening. And many people who are in leadership positions who are somewhat righteous are starting to adopt this movement also. That's there. A lot of them are closet people. You don't even know who they are. But they work behind the scenes to push Dharma also. So there's a battle between religion and irreligion. It's happening right now. The battle is not like a a military battle. It's a battle for the possession of the minds of the conditioned souls. We're trying to make as many souls Krishna conscious, and they're trying to make as many souls as they can to become subservient to their demoniac rule. So you're living in very difficult times, you might say. You might say exciting times. I don't know how exciting this is to devotees. Devotees like peace. Devotees just want righteousness and religiousness, but just the way it is. Before, as they say, the darkest hour is just before dawn. So the world will get darker, but at the same time, the light of Krishna consciousness will continue to spread and push back the darkness. So it's an interesting time. How it'll play itself out, we don't know. We know it will be somewhat tumultuous. There'll be a lot of turmoil. Getting rid of the demons is like getting rid of a disease. And then when the disease is so part of the body, sometimes you need a big operation in order to uproot the disease so it doesn't spread. So book distribution is going on. Harinam Sankirtan is going on. Temples are preaching, and many devotees from different places around the world are propagating religious principles. If you do a scan of what's happening around the world, you'll see it's interesting from both sides. The demons are still very active, but the devotees are also very, you know, uh, strong, many of them, in propagating religious principles. But if we get each and every person who claims to be a devotee in Prabhupada's movement active in Harinam Sankirtan and book distribution and preaching, then we'll accelerate Lord Chaitanya's mission and bring about righteousness much faster. Just a matter of time, that's all. You got to get rid of the trash before you got to get rid of the darkness before you can bring in the light. The light will bring it, or will dissipate the darkness, but the darkness is quite thick also at the same time. It's not a thin veil of darkness, it's there. Anyway,
It's hard to imagine the world getting darker than this world. It's very hard to imagine. And as a sort of related follow-up, and I don't know how much you can comment on this, when Modi gave the Prabhupada Gita to
Putin,
Vladimir, to
Putin.
I mean, an incredible gesture. Do you have any, I mean, to comment on such a thing? I mean, could you take a position on that, or is that beyond what
I
you
can't
should?
speak. I know things that I can't speak about in public, so because it's just not public stuff. It's quite controversial, but there's things happening around the world with certain leaders who are trying to uproot Dharma, and Putin is one of them. He's in favor not of Dharma, but he's in favor of what we say. Um, hmm. I can't say he's a saintly person, but he's also wants to uproot Dharma. But it's not so much Dharma from his perspective. It's just, people who are out to destroy his country. So he wants to fight back. Modi's acting in the position of Dharma. He's making India going back to their Vedic culture. He just established another deity of Ram in Goa, big 15-foot deity and he's you know he's dharmic. And so we have a leader in India who is actually powerful, but his life is being threatened every moment. There's people who want to kill him. He has so many guards around him. So yeah, it's not easy when you stand for Dharma. Dharma's out there ready to destroy you. Anyway, I don't want to get into the political aspect of this because it really is too controversial and too, what we say, unclear to see how everything is actually happening, but something is happening. There are actually rulers in the world that are working to bring about not dharma, but righteousness among people. They want to govern according to the mode of goodness, not those other modes. It's interesting anyway.
Thank you so much,
So
Guru Maharaj.
what you're going to see for the next couple of years is a lot of social unrest around the world, especially in the United States. You're in the middle of the battle right there. The United States is the battleground right there. Wars are not going to increase, but social unrest, political wrangling, economic fallouts, all of these are on the horizon. That's why Prabhupada warned us, get these forms. Otherwise, you won't be able to maintain your Krishna consciousness. If you're still, you know, forced to accept the stately rule by which everything you need is supplied. Grow your own food, get your own land, get cows, make houses, become self-sufficient in all aspects of life. Learn herbs, become doctors and fix the devotees. We don't need outside doctors. 15,000 people every month in America die because of the cure. Did you know that? That's a statistic. You go to the doctor and he kills you. Haribol. 15,000 people a month. That's from the FDA. We live in a very horrible time because everything is polluted by selfishness and vested interests. Prabhupada said, the world will collapse. Why? Because it's based on a false standard. What is that standard? Money. Money is not culture. Values, family values, social values, cultural values, spiritual values. Makes up human society, not money. Everything go by money, 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 money. If you got money, you're in. If you don't have money, get it. Money, money, money. If you want justice, you have to pay for it. If you don't have money, you don't get justice. Nowadays, you don't even get food if you don't have money. So Prabhupada foresaw the decline of Western civilization, and he gave reasons why it would collapse. You can hear it. He says because it's based on the wrong principle, money. Everything evolves around money.
And so that need for the spiritual communism that Prabhupada talked about to truly band together and try to have a moneyless, Krishna conscious society, at least.
That's part of it. But the basic thing is to go back to the land and take care of your basic needs, because nature provides everything you need. It's all there. What is being sold to you as the things that you need to live is coming from nature anyway. They exploit nature, repackage it, and sell it back to you so they can make money. But why just eliminate the middleman? Just nature is ready to provide. And the more righteous people are, the more pious people are, the more nature provides. The more sinful they are, nature withholds. Okay, let's move on. I only have about 10 minutes left before I have
Yes.
to run out the door.
Thanks. Krishna Kaviraj Prabhu, please go ahead.
Thank you, Guru
I'm
Maharaj.
listening. I'm here. Go ahead, keep talking.
Guru Maharaj, how can we identify envy in ourselves? Are there subtle forms of envy? And once identified, what should we do about it?
If you're unhappy because of someone else's success, That is the principle of envy. If you're not satisfied with what Krishna has provided for you, and you're thinking of ways to get more by any means, that's envy. If you don't depend on Krishna for his mercy and think you can solve your own problems by your own intelligence and your own ability, then you're simply envious of Krishna. Envy plays out in different ways. So learn how to become satisfied. Satisfied means whatever Krishna is providing, I'm happy. And if we take a look, we always see he gives us more than how much we actually realize he is giving us. He's protecting you. He's providing for you. He's maintaining for you. He's doing all of that. But you're thinking it's happening by your endeavor. But your endeavor will fall short, because endeavor is simply a way to bring in the mercy. It's not the solution, or it's not the success. Our devotees simply depend on Krishna. And when you see envy, just try to become peaceful and satisfied. If someone is better than us, we should feel happy for them rather than trying to feel unhappy about our own position. In the spiritual world, there's spiritual envy, where one gopi serving Krishna is really nice. The other gopis think, oh, wow, Krishna is being served so nicely by that gopi. I want to serve Krishna also very nicely. So that another gopi tries to outdo that other gopi by trying to serve Krishna even better. But who benefits? Krishna. And whoever is better at serving, the other person says, wow, wonderful, you did wonderful. You served Krishna so nicely. So we take happiness in another person's success, not unhappiness or envy or whatever, pushing ourselves down. Oh, I'm so fallen, I'm so useless. This is another form of envy turned inward. Sri Devi.
Devi Mataji, please go ahead. You're on mute, Mataji. Sri Devi Mataji?
Can you hear me?
Yes,
Are
now
you
we can hear you. Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. My obeisances to you, Guru Maharaj. All glories to Prabhupada. As you were speaking, so many important things, many things were going through my head. But this is my heartfelt thanks to you for
Yeah,
actually bringing out what is real saintly rule, what
yeah.
is real dharma, and how the leaders actually work for the welfare of the citizens. As Balavan Nitai Prabhu said, today it's the complete opposite, and people are just so used to this kind of leadership that we have almost forgotten what real leadership is like. So, this Krishna consciousness movement is actually teaching the world actual human life and what real leadership is like. So,
Yeah.
my question is, will it mean that people get more and more awakened and revolt against this kind of leadership for there to be a real Krishna conscious leader to come up?
Yeah.
Or what will it take for
They
that kind of
only
leader?
they're not going to revolt to get a Krishna conscious leader. They're just going to revolt against what is being oppressed upon them now. It's already happening. The news doesn't cover it. People are rioting in the streets. They're not satisfied. They don't even have enough food in certain places. They're not going to propagate Dharma, but they're just trying to survive. That's all.
So, what will it take for a real Krishna conscious leader to come up and take charge of the people and work for their welfare?
Become a leader. Everybody can become a leader wherever, whatever position you're in. Be an example for what Prabhupada taught us. Develop the qualities of a Vaishnava and be willing to help others become Krishna conscious. Is it cold out? Give me that vest. It's happening slowly. There are devotees who are working on different levels to bring Krishna consciousness there. Political levels, social levels, economic levels. But the real force is Harinam Sankirtan. That was propagated by Lord Chaitanya when Chankasi tried to stop this movement. Lord Chaitanya organized Harinam Sankirtan. It's described in Chaitanya Bhagavat in detail. How when Lord Chaitanya organized, people from all over the universe came and took part in that kirtan. There were millions of people chanting and dancing in the streets. And Chankasi all he could do was run and hide under his bed. They can't stop this Harinam Sankirtan movement. They can try, but they can't stop it. But we're not so organized in our present state. We're doing it in little pockets here and there. But if we can do it on a mass scale, a larger scale, because honest people will recognize it and also become part of it. It's the holy name that'll make the difference.
Hmm.
Holy name is
Do you
the
see
Astra.
do you see other religious groups joining hand in hand with this Hare Krishna movement? I mean, really religious leaders of the Christian faith, of the Muslim faith, of the Jewish faith, seeing the goodness of the Hare Krishnas. Do you think they'll work hand in hand to root out godlessness?
Not on a large scale, but on a small scale. Mhm.
Hmm.
It's already happening on a small scale.
Well, Modi, as you said, is a very dharmic personality. I saw in one meeting that some religious meeting, there were imams and rabbis and so many other religious heads were attending a meeting with him. And just yesterday, he went and attended a Christmas, what to say, service at a cathedral. And I was impressed. I was impressed by that.
Yeah. Yeah. Ram Raj. Good man, very good man. We just pray that Krishna gives him all protection, and he's intelligent too. He also knows how to govern the country. Like when the United States tried to push out India by putting 50% tax on all goods coming from India and into the United States. Modi, instead of acquiescing to that, he just pulled back his goods and send it to other countries. That frustrated the United States. Yeah, he's a good leader, even on a material level. Okay, I have to attend a kirtan. So we're having kirtan from within the next, they're actually, the devotees are already doing kirtan, so I have to get there. I'm supposed to be part of the kirtan in 10 minutes.
So much, Gandharv, for joining.
I'm
Good time.
Thank you
sorry,
so
I have
much
to
for
leave. It's a nice discussion, but anyway, if we want to be successful in propagating this Krishna consciousness, we have to set up this social system. We can't just do it by power of our religious movement. We have to set up the social system so devotees know how to live and stop putting our time, energy, and resources into today's demoniac society. We're actually supporting the demoniac society by actually becoming dependent on it.
Mm.
So stop that, and it's happening. There's just Bhakti Vikash Maharaj just got a big piece of land in Tennessee, huge, and he's putting all his men there, and they're gonna do, Prabhupada's mission of simple living. He's got a whole big plan. He's leading in one area, a beautiful farm, and now devotees are rallying around and want to become part of that program. So these things are happening. We need to set up the social system so we can educate our children. We can take care of our families. Families need to be stable, not unstable. Today's society doesn't allow stability.
Right.
Okay. Anyway, Hare Krishna. Welcome to Lord Chaitanya's drama.
People. Happy to be in the drama.
Okay, make sure you play the right part.
Yes, Guru Maharaj. Thank you. Thank you so
Okay,
much.
Hare Krishna.
Hare
Srila
Krishna.
Prabhupada ki jai.
Jai.
Maharaj ki jai.
Sankirtan ki jai. Samaveda Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Gaur Premanande Hari 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 Bol.
Thank you, Guru Maharaj.
Maharaj ki
Thank you,
jai.
Parajatu.
Jai.
Thank you, Guru
Hare
Maharaj.
Thank you, Guru Maharaj.